So once you've set up your quiz, the next thing you need to do is add questions into the quiz. Okay, so from my last video you saw me set up the quiz with the timing, review options, how many attempts. Okay, so let's save and display. And when I do this, you can see it says no questions have been added yet. Okay, so let's go ahead and edit the quiz. And here is where you can add questions. Okay, so once you add questions, new questions. Okay, if you've made questions before, they're stored in a question bank and you can access them. But let's make some new questions. Now, the thing is, in Moodle, questions are added one at a time, which is a little bit tedious. So if I actually chose a true and false question add, that would be one true and false question. If I had 10 true and false questions, I would have to do this 10 times. And that's rather tedious. Open-ended tests are a little bit easier. You can just, for example, if I have a test that has 5, long answer, short answer questions, I can just create 5 of these. Like, please describe the process of making an infographic or something like that. So I can just enter a few of these. Okay, but if we're looking at multiple choice or true and false, things that you want to be self-graded, this close type question is very, very handy because it allows you to add many questions at once and is self-grading at the same time. So let me just show you what this is about. It's a little bit technical, but once you get used to it, it does save a lot of time. So let's say this is a 5-question quiz. Okay. So I'm just gonna pause it and populate this quiz right now because it's no use you watch me type, but then after I'll start again. So now you can see the questions that I've put in here. So here's the question text, for example. First question, what is the capital of Canada? And the way you set this up is you put the choices in between these curly parentheses. Okay, so if you're using an Italian keyboard, this is going to be kind of a headache. Use the Shift, Alt, GR, and then the parentheses that are beside the Enter button. It's kind of hard to explain, but beside the Enter button, you'll see like the square brackets. If you press Shift, Alt, GR, and those ones, they'll give you the curly braces. Otherwise, if you have an American keyboard, you can just simply press Shift, and those ones will use the curly braces. Okay, and what this is inside the curly braces is this is how much each question is worth. So this question is worth 1 mark. Okay, colon, MC means this is multiple choice, and then I have another colon. Now, after this colon, I have all the possibilities. You can put 3, you can put 4, you can put 2, however many possibilities you want. And each possibility is separated with what's called a tilde. Okay, now the tilde is kind of hard to get to on the Italian keyboard. So what I do is I switch to the American keyboard, and then it's the key that's on the left of the number 1. If you press Shift and then that key at the very corner there, it'll give you the tilde. In the Italian keyboard, I don't even know where it is.
I think we can see the ASCII code.
Sorry for that interruption there. I was just told that you can use like some ASCII code, but I'm not sure how that works. Anyways, in order to get that tilde, if you don't have an American keyboard or can't switch to it, you can just simply copy and paste this. Maybe I'll include a file that has this template so that you can use it. In order to get to the US keyboard, some computers have this option here where you can actually switch between the two. I know that all the computers at John Cabot have this English keyboard and Italian keyboard. So on the Italian keyboard, I can't get to the tilde. On the US keyboard, I can. I just press Shift and then that key that's next to the number 1. Okay, so I'll just repeat that. All possibilities in your multiple choice are separated by a tilde. Okay, it doesn't put A, B, and C, it just puts the choice in a drop-down box. Okay, so if you do want A, B, and C, you can put that. But do keep in mind, if you had turned on that shuffling option between questions, the A, B, and C will kind of be out of order. So I usually just leave them without the A, B's, and C's. So there you go. So here I put the drop-down box right beside the question. So let me just show you what this looks like afterwards. So once I've had that set up with, this is what's called a closed test. Okay, here's an example of a true and false. So true and false separated by a tilde. And then you just put the correct answer. You just put an equal sign right in front of it. So if false was the correct answer, I would put the equal sign right there. Okay, but John Cabot is an American university, true, equal. Right, so here, correct answer is Ottawa, so equal signs before the Ottawa. Okay, so I'll save changes, decode and verify. This is just to verify if you made any mistake in entering this thing, because sometimes it is kind of possible, it is kind of complex. So you can do a test if you want. Otherwise, it will tell you if you just do save changes and there is a problem, it will tell you. Okay, so there it's saved. Let's preview it. And basically what it will look like in the preview is here's my quiz. So it was Capital of Canada. There's my drop-down box with my various answers, and I can choose. So a very simple way to make a quiz with many multiple choice answers. So it's personally my preference. If I have to make a quiz with like 20 questions that are multiple choice, this is the fastest way, instead of, inserting one multiple choice question at a time 25 times or 20 times or whatever. So you can go back and edit your quiz here, and you can see it again there. So having this as a template is very nice. Maybe I'll include this template for you. Okay. Let me explain some things here. So you can see there were 2 questions. So if you recall, inside those curly parentheses, I put the number 1. So each question was worth 1 mark, so that added up to a 2. And that's what shows up here. And here, it puts what you want the test out of. So even if my quiz only has 2 marks in it, it'll actually convert that into 10 marks, which can be kind of confusing. What I usually do is change this to kind of match how many marks I have inside the test. Can be kind of useful if you want to convert to like a 100-point scale. Like let's say you have 37 questions and you're like, oh, what's that score on a 100-point scale? So it'll convert that 37 into something out of 100. So sometimes it can be useful that way, but often I just kind of change this to whatever my marks are out of. Click save. And there you have your test ready to go, and then you can always add more questions. So if you want to add another one, which is a short answer question after your multiple choice, you can keep adding questions until your quiz is completely populated with questions. Okay, so I hope that was helpful in showing you how to put questions inside your quiz or test or whatever it's intended to be. I just had an afterthought about explaining the short answer questions. Since these ones are automatically graded because they do have a correct answer where you put the equal sign, I think it's necessary to mention that essay questions aren't automatically graded. So if I do make an essay type question, short answer or whatever, I should mention the difference between short answer and long answer, because there you might have seen there was the short answer type, and you can make it automatically graded. The thing is, the student has to type in exactly the answer that you type. So if the answer is Canada, they have to type exactly C-A-N-A-D-A, exactly that for it to be correct, which sometimes work, but sometimes you run into problems. For example, they put an extra space, but for example, they put C-A-N-A-D-A and they put a space after. The system actually marks that as wrong, which is kind of annoying, so it doesn't check like spelling mistakes and things like that. You also run into problems with like contractions, so things like do not is considered different than don't. It doesn't check that, so short answer can be kind of tricky. A long answer, which what we're doing now, is basically an essay type question. This was the one I told. So describe what a computer is. Okay, for example, and then you just basically say indicate how many marks this is worth, and then these usually I just leave them as is, save changes. And the thing you need to know is that this will have to be graded by you. So later on, when all the quizzes have been submitted, these multiple choice will be graded automatically, and then you'll have to go in and grade these ones on your own, and then giving a grade out of 5, and here we'll have to change the total down to 7, so 2 there and 5 there. So automatic grading plus what you give as a grade will be in the total. Okay.